Good evening, everybody. Oh dear. So there's a new patch. I didn't realize this, so we will take a quick minute to review this. I am coming to you belatedly, and it's been a very, very full day. There's actually some stuff that I wanted to talk about and get through. Some of it old world related, some of it world related, but new world, or current world. But let me start. I do like to take a minute to review the patch notes, even if I am not even remotely good enough to be able to benefit from them. I also want to take a second here and see. I'm getting a scary bitrate warning from Twitch, which I don't quite understand. And then, okay, we at least are tagged up the way that we want to be. Okay, things are a little bit more stable, it feels like. So, let's read these patch notes. Old World Release Branch 1.0.66959, release May 10th, 2023. Headline changes, new desert map script added and other map script improvements, UI enhancements including a redesigned turn summary pop-up, AI improvements and memory optimizations. I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like the AI needs improvements at this point. I actually need the AI to get a lot dumber so that I can start winning. Now this may just be my lack of sophistication with this game, but this is definitely a very military-oriented 4X game. I noticed actually there's a... it's the team that did Gladius Relics of War, and then there's a... do they call it Paradox? Or Pandora? Pandora First Contact. Let me see the name of this developer. Proxy Studios. So Proxy Studios used to publish through Slitherine. I've noticed that their next title is a self-published title called Zephon, which I believe is a reference to a type of angel. But in any case, it's a 4X strategy game, definitely building on the previous... It seems to be building on the previous games that they've made. And I think I can see why people got maybe a little annoyed with this, but they went out pretty strong on the idea that combat is not very good in 4X games and that they were going to improve it. And I think, like, so again, that's a... You can see, like, sometimes the stuff kind of comes off as arrogant when I suspect probably it wasn't intended that way. But that's one of the things that I think they're trying to sell the game on, is the idea that there's... that the combat experience is going to be an improvement over existing 4X titles. I guess the only thing that I can say is my answer to that would be Old World, because Old World definitely does seem to have a pretty well thought out combat system, and it's one that I keep getting clobbered by. So, now in fairness, I do feel that sometimes for me it's tricky to keep in my head all of the possibilities that I have, whereas I think the AI is quite good at managing them. So, one big thing I notice is that if you are able to have a unit that just survives, you can pull them back and heal up. And trying to calculate that for yourself, every turn that's asking a lot of a player. Whereas, for a computer, that's very straightforward. So I sometimes maybe feel like that's if I think of a frustration that I run into, that's kind of one of them in terms of the game. Like, I sometimes feel that the computer has like a computational advantage over me. But I also suspect that probably given enough time with the combat in Old World, I would overcome that, and I'd have a better feeling in terms of what my units are supposed to do, while still getting the benefit of human thinking. But in any case, all of this is to say, Old World's AI is very strong. It does feel like it's a more maybe not combat-oriented game, but it definitely feels like combat has been well served in this game. It's important, and the AI is very good at it. So every time I see AI improvements, it makes me feel like I'm about to get I'm about to get clobbered. Olaf, wonderful to see you. I hope you're doing well. I will just, I'm worn out today already. This has been true for a while, but I did just want to take a minute here and say, oh, thank you very much for the resubscription. We're almost at 3 years. We'll say that this is a themed alert for Old World, given the archaeology connection. Improvements all depend on the A. Don't give. Yeah, no Gandhi in Old World. Also, hello, Algrins. But yeah, I should just mention I was doing laundry, which is one of the reasons why I'm a bit late. Also dinner, but I am gonna have to actually get my laundry out of the dryer in probably less than half an hour, probably more like 15 minutes. So, I'll just have like a chance, a small break or something like that. But just a heads up that I am going to need a minute to run off on my own. Okay, on to the patch notes. The rest of the patch notes. Design: new map script desert, hardwood forest map script redesign, more tundra and mountains in the north and more resources in the south, multiple continents map script improvements. Continents are now placed east and west rather than north and south, which works better with mirror and wide map options and is more consistent with other map scripts. Improved player start locations for team games. Teams will be placed near each other and on the same continent where possible. Removed mirror map option from multiple continents, 3-continent option in MP setup. All opinion boosts from laws are now plus 20, previously ranged from plus 10 to plus 50. Purge religion option modifier changed from minus 40 for 20 years, so from 20 for 80. Added mercenary tribe units hired to record screen. Leaders can no longer be courtiers. Cities captured by tribes start at 0 health and restore 20% per turn. Event bonuses which damage units now never kill them. Events which could give governor or general related traits to characters ineligible for that role are no longer blocked. Events which give traits no longer blocked by attribute prerequisites. Roman shrines renamed: Vulcan to Sol, Venus to Feronia, Vesta to Ceres, and Mars to Bellona. Carthage's Shrine of Astarte is now Shrine of Baal Hamon. Can now only demand tribute from a nation once every 10 turns. Found religion project production no longer decays faster than other production when queued. Added fallback ratings to sacred and profane traits. Visibility in completed hot seat games is now consistent with other multiplayer modes. The map is revealed after the game is won or lost. Generals can no longer be reassigned on the same turn as the unit they are... on the same turn as the unit they are leading is killed. Only affects network MP. Multiplayer. Tweaked event occurrence rates. Build wonder ambitions no longer fail when a wonder is started by another nation. Instead, they fail when the wonder has been completed. Programming. AI improvements. Fixed AI anchoring and decision. Improved AI tile improvement selection to better account for adjacency bonuses. Memory optimizations. Less memory is held when changing save or restarting, generating a new map. Fixed memory leak between game editor and event browser. Improved code maintenance and thread safety. Unity version updated to 2021-3.24 F1. I don't know what version they were using before. Gendered text refactor. Exposed number of autosaves to players' settings in the option file. UI. Added categories and icons to turn summary pop-up. Changed improvement ping, map tax pop-up drop-down to searchable drop-down, Steam Deck controller improvements, added toggle to UI options to allow keyboard button navigation disabled by default. Damage preview for non-hostile units when holding Alt now shows potential damage to cities as well as units. I also didn't know about the damage preview holding Alt, so that will be helpful moving forward. This is why I like even when it's stuff like UI, this is why I like taking the time to read these patch notes, because you find out stuff that you didn't know about before. And then I got lost. Okay, added control click option to agent cities list to sort by city-based production. Agent cities with no visible info always sorted to the bottom of the list. Plus symbol for free promotions now shown even if you don't have orders or the unit is on cooldown. Redo pans the camera to moving unit's destination tile instead of its start location. Replay now skips animations of your own previous actions. Change city widget name production text to use a less heavy outline underlay. Improve display of production stockpile yields and breakdowns in city screen and global stockpiles, reflecting overflow and hurrying effects. Queued production items that are prerequisites for other queued production can now be removed with Control-Click, which removes all related production from the queue. Added UI support for user IDs in Cloud Game Setup to make cross-platform cloud games easier to set up. Added improvement filter buttons for disciples. Skull icon will now be shown on units that will be killed by splash damage in the attack preview. Disabled options button for scenarios where it is not relevant. Cleaned up Carthage campaign advanced options. Improved city yield help text. Improved layout of mods manage screen. Trait bonuses listed in event text area are now less verbose unless hovered over. Added validator log to event browser to check if newly created events are invalid. Bugs fixed. Is it just... There's a lot of them here, and I don't know... I think in this case I'll be willing to skip them over, which is not to offer any disrespect to the hard work that went into that, but I feel I learn less with things that shouldn't have been in there being removed from the game. So, let us return to Carthage. Twitch 8. Which 8? Who knows? So, I'll try and fold in some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about today, but there was a bit of bad news, which was Robert Lucas, the Nobel-winning economist, died today. I was rather sorry to hear that. And there are a couple of details. So this is the stuff that isn't old world related, but I think it's still worth kind of going into. There are a couple things that are neat about Robert Lucas. So first of all, if you've ever taken a macroeconomics course, chances are there'd be this division between business cycles and economic growth. And one observation that Lucas made was sort of comparing the amount of economic benefit that comes from smoothing out the business cycle. So we're sort of talking about boom and bust, right? You know, you have this period, everything's going well, and then there's sort of a downturn, and then there's like a, depression or, a lower level, and then things kind of go back up. And ideally, you don't have a bunch of disruption in an economy. It would be nice if you can sort of smooth out the business cycle. And he did sort of an estimate of what the benefits to the economy, if you could completely smooth out the business cycle, would be. Because there is a benefit to that. I'm sure that's apparent to everybody, but just to be clear, like it would be better if we could do that. But then he compared that with the idea of economic growth, right? So this would be a country, something we would call a developing country now. Sometimes it gets called third world, but I think the term third world has its origins in the Cold War, and it's sort of kind of talking about the division between the different superpowers. So that's maybe not as relevant to... There's probably a correlation between that and economic development, but in this case, developing probably makes a little bit more sense. And the idea here is you look at the improvement in overall welfare that comes from economic development, being able to improve the productive capacity of a country, not necessarily just, having them get a larger population, but introducing things that will cause that labor to be more productive. And this can be anything from education to capital investments. There's a number of different things that can happen, and obviously there's a lot of debates in terms of the best ways to do that, and obviously a lot of mistakes in terms of how people try to approach doing that. But made an effort to quantify that in comparison to business cycles, and just the amount of growth and the amount of kind of flourishing that's brought on through economic growth, through focusing on that. And it's kind of summarized by this line, like, once you start thinking about growth, it's very difficult to think about anything else. I don't recall the exact quote. Let's maybe see if I can find it. Yeah, see, I keep seeing, um, once you start thinking about growth, it's hard to think about anything else, but there is a context to that. But this one said lectures on economic growth, so let me just see here. They want me to spend $50 to access this, this article. No, thank you. Let's maybe see if I can get a wiki quote from it. If not, I'll move on, but... Oh, here we go. Robert E. Lucas on the Mechanics of Economic Development, Journal of Monetary Economics, 1998. I do not see how one can look at figures like these without seeing them representing possibilities. Is there some action a government of India could take that would lead the Indian economy to grow like Indonesia's or Egypt's? If so, what exactly? If not, what is it about the nature of India being in quotes, that makes it so? The consequences for human welfare involved in questions like these are simply staggering. Once one starts to think about them, it is hard not to think about anything else. So I suspect that probably there's a slightly different version of that quote, but I think you get the idea. So there is one other. I would like to see if I can find the paper for this as well. Lucas critique. There we go. Econometric policy evaluation, a critique. Okay, so there's one contribution that he's kind of widely known for is this idea of rational expectations. And there is this concept known as the Lucas critique. So I was looking for the paper, and Wikipedia is really good for finding sources. So I'll actually just go for the opening paragraph here, because I tend to find that it's better at summarizing these things. The Lucas critique argues that it is naive to try and predict the effects of a change in economic policy entirely on the basis of relationships observed in historical data, especially highly aggregated historical data. More formally, it states that the decision rules of Keynesian models, such as the consumption function, cannot be considered as structural in the sense of being invariant with respect to changes in government policy variables. It was named after American economist Robert Lucas's work on macroeconomic policymaking. I don't think that's very clear, actually. I think people probably are more confused after hearing that. So, the idea here, this is probably a bad summary of it, but imagine that you are a government, or you're advising a government, and you take a look at, let's say, the number of video games that people buy, and you say, okay, we need to get some money. Maybe we want to pay for a new health program. In Canada, they're talking about, dental care. In the United States, maybe, you want to bring about more reforms to the healthcare. Well, not just reforms, but something that government's going to put some money into. And you're like, in order to do that, we need to get some revenue. We need some kind of a tax to be able to pay for this. Video games are getting more popular. People are, they seem to like it. They're enjoying this stuff. Let's go, put a tax on video games, and, we'll get some extra money out of that, and that'll pay for our policy. And then, maybe you'll say even, well, how much do we need? And maybe this is how we would set the tax. So, you figure out your dollar value. You take a look at the number of video games that people are buying. Maybe you even work out some kind of a projection in terms of what people are going to be buying in the future. And you say, okay, so this is the amount of money that we need. Here's the percent that we add on the, on video game tax. And there we go. We'll get this much money. And even then, actually, you can, there's a few other things that you might do, and you can say, well, the price is actually going to be this number here, so we'd have to, lower the consumption because effectively the price is going up. or the developers are going to respond. There's a few other variations that you can do on that, but essentially here you'd come up with some tax and say, okay, this is how much money we're going to get. Let's just go for the naive version, which says, people are buying 100 million video games this year, so we're going to put, a tax on that, and then just multiply the amount that we get from per unit, and that's how much revenue we're going to get. And obviously that's not going to be the way that people behave. People are going to respond to the tax. In fact, probably what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of games. Basically, the number of games online are going to vanish, and all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of apps, which might be lifestyle apps, and they might have these repetitive features. They might even have individual individual purchases that you make. And perhaps maybe for those purchases, you'll see these micro videos, and those micro videos will give you little options in terms of where you go, that you can have different results based on the action that you take. But they're not a game. They're very clearly not a game. This, by the way, is why we have White Claw, because spirits are taxed differently than beer. But in any case here, the big idea is that if you were to just simply estimate what the tax is going to get you as a result of the policy, you're going to be misled, because in the end, people's behavior is going to change. They're going to have one set of behaviors, which you run your regression on, you make your estimates in terms of what things will be. But in the end, you're changing the rules of the game. And so there's no rule saying that people are necessarily going to behave the same way under the same policy. And that was the real benefit of the Lucas critique. I think it's a very smart critique, and it's one that I wish more people would pay attention to and take seriously. Which is that this is actually something that would be very important if you're doing game data. Because in the end, let's say that you're putting together some sort of a model of player behavior, and you're using that to inform how you're building your game. You need to acknowledge that the function that players are applying, to sort of optimize their outcomes, you are by design trying to change that. And so if you don't keep in mind those structural parameters, you're going to find that players are behaving in very different ways, or potentially are going to behave in very different ways from what you're expecting. Because in the end, you're basing your changes on the behavior under the old rule set rather than the new one. The really simple version, this is not an innovation on my part, but one that I've heard from people, would be to say the Lucas critique is basically saying, if you are running like Fort Knox, and you look at an observation, say Fort Knox has never been robbed, therefore we don't need guards, and we can save money by firing all the guards on Fort Knox, the unreasonable expectation would be that Fort Knox will remain unrobbed once you get rid of all of the guards, right? The fact that it has not been robbed is a function of the policy that includes putting guards there. So that was his. And one of the reasons why I like bringing up the Lucas critique is I think it has one of my favorite openings for a paper. This is from Econometric Policy Evaluation, a critique. The fact that nominal prices and wages tend to rise more rapidly at the peak of the business cycle than they do in the trough has been well recognized from the time when the cycle was first perceived as a distinct phenomenon. The inference that permanent inflation will therefore induce a permanent economic high is no doubt equally ancient, yet it is only recently that this notion has undergone the mysterious transformation from obvious fallacy to cornerstone of the theory of economic policy. This is in reference to a concept known as the Phillips curve. That's a really stinging, by economic standards, that's a really stinging critique at the start. But he's right. I do know that there is sort of this belief that the Lucas critique is like the gun that only shoots left, that people tend to use it to criticize what people would consider to be as more like left-wing policies. I think that's more of a non-economist view rather than a general thing. But in any case, the last thing would be, as far as textbooks are concerned, I'm sure he's written more, but the only one that I have is, what's it called? I know it's a scary one. recursive methods and economic dynamics, better known as was it Stokey, Lucas, and Prescott. And it's one that if you're a mathematician, you hate that book because it's not rigorous enough. And if you're an econ student, you hate it because it is bloody difficult. But it's a very, very good textbook. Very mathy, though. Actually, I can't remember if he was, I think he got married to Stokey, but one last story of it was apparently when he got divorced from his first wife, there was an agreement in it that I think it was like for 20 years or so, if he won a Nobel Prize within the 20 years of the divorce, she would be entitled to some amount of the money, maybe half. And apparently he got his Nobel on the last year that deal was in effect. And apparently he was asked about it, and his only response was, a deal's a deal. And actually, I think a fairly decent one, right? Because there's certainly a well-known problem of sort of domestic partnerships, the work not appearing in any kind of a ledger, right? And so domestic work is largely unaccounted for in national accounts. I actually think it is somewhat telling that the divorce settlement of an economist has a clause recognizing the effort that went into the labor that ultimately supported the work that earned Lucas his Nobel Prize. Well, I know it's not a Nobel, but whatever, we'll call it that anyway. So, I do apologize that we've not taken our turn yet, but that was a little bit of world news that I wanted to. Again, I don't expect all of you to run out and read Lucas's papers, but definitely somebody who is worth checking out and looking at. Give yourself, I think probably the best thing to do is treat it like a rodeo. See how long you can stay on it. Don't go and try and read a really difficult paper, but maybe see why people might have found these ideas and these contributions important. This is true when whenever, pretty much in any case when there's an academic or somebody who's contributed to world knowledge. I don't know anything about physics that isn't related to optics, and even then I'm really weak on it. And this is just from the camera stuff, right? But when you hear about someone, who had made significant contributions, you kind of want to, where you can, you want to learn about these things and maybe understand a little bit more about the world. But my alarm went off for laundry, so I apologize that we're going to be taking a break before taking our turn, but probably better I do that now. The rest that I will have to talk to you about in terms of what I'm setting up at least is actually going to be about the ancient world. But we will enjoy some wonderful music, and I'm going to go get my laundry before it gets all wrinkly, and I'll be back in a couple minutes, but I am going to run ads just so that people don't get the pre-roll at the start. So we will see you in a bit. All right, thank you all for your patience. I was actually going to say there was one other thing that I can do in terms of recommendations for reading. Now, the problem here is I don't know if these are very good. These are probably more specialist resources, and they're really more names rather than specific readings. But if you find you can't stop thinking about growth, when I was studying, this was more in undergrad, but I was really struck by Paul Romer's endogenous growth theory. I get the feeling, actually, there was some contribution Lucas had made that doesn't seem to be as widely acknowledged, but Romer's definitely an endogenous growth guy. Philip Aghion and Peter Howitt have a textbook called Endogenous Growth Theory, but if you want, like, there's this absolute just monster of an economist, Daron Acemoglu. To give you an idea, like, Daron Acemoglu has his own variation of Chuck Norris facts for him online. And if you look them up, they will be utterly incomprehensible, but they're still funny. But Daron Acemoglu has a textbook on growth, which is good. It's probably at a higher... It's probably not like a first book textbook on growth, but, I mean, you do what you can, right? It depends on how interested you are in it. But yeah, Romer for Endogenous Growth Theory. If you want a textbook, I feel like Acemoglu's is very good. There was another thing on growth that I was going to say, and I think it's Oded Galore. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm actually struggling to find that text now. I know I have it, but actually there's one more place. Okay, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but I'm pretty sure it's Oded Galore. He is trying to do this unification of economic models, and so it's actually this broad historical perspective from ancient times up to today, and to present them as different models of economic growth. I think that's actually really interesting. So that I haven't read the book, but I did read a paper about that. So that may be of interest. I also noticed that so while I was looking for it, I did see the Acemoglu textbook, and it's actually, it is called Introduction to Economic Growth. So it may be one of those like nasty ones where like it says, a primer or introduction, and then like you look at it and there's more Greek letters than, in a classics text. But I may be overdoing it in terms of scaring people off on the complexity of the Acemoglu text. But yeah, Galore was the one who I wanted to talk about, just because there is at least that historical connection. So let's make some progress with Carthage, because there's other reading that I've been doing that I want to talk about that's actually relevant to this, but I want to make some progress. We still need to get our silver mine. However, I believe we're already constructing it. So yeah, in this case, it's just a matter of time. We are going to have to deal with the Spartans, but I think the deal here was going to be that I think I wanted to get my army at least as much as I could in a state where I could defend, I could really like give it to him. If nothing else, I want to be able to, excuse me. If nothing else, I want to be able to, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Like, I want to make sure that the orders that I use are going to be focused on taking out the Spartans as efficiently as possible, because if I don't do that, then I'm going to wind up losing more units than I should. Okay, let's go to the next turn. That's not a surprise. Oh, actually, looks like the unit survived. Oh, wow. This is a totally new screen. All right, King Eshmunazar the Invincible, governor of Hadrumetum, has died in office. Prince Yutpan has fallen ill. The tutor mission of Confucius has led to an event. Birik is converted to Carthaginian paganism, and reports of a tribal raid from a Numidian encampment near Igilgili. Rule of law. For several days in a row, Confucius takes his young student Malchus to the city courts to observe legal proceedings. When asked about his opinions on the law's influence over politics, Malchus responds, "The ruler is the final judge of what is right." Additional legitimacy, loyal, and extra discipline. Authority rests with the consensus of the court. He becomes humble, gains knowledge and discipline, or judges and orators speak for the people. Interesting. Let's get the free ministry. The final favor. At the funeral of King Eshmunazar the Invincible, you are approached by tyrant Gelon the Glorious of Greece. I owed a debt to Eshmunazar, and I was not able to repay it. Allow me to repay you in his honor instead. Will you accept? You get a ton of cash for that, or ask that you keep the favor for the time being. Let's get the cash. Snake signs. The week before your coronation, a seer discovers a strange omen. One dead snake near the palace, with 3 living baby snakes in nests nearby. Startled, he interprets this to mean that you must hold the ceremony in one of the family seats. Which city do you choose? We can sponsor chariot races in Carthage, the Maganid seat. We can throw a banquet in Hippo Regius, the Hananid seat. Or host a contest of arms in Hadrumetum, the Didonian seat. Now, that's going to cost us a lot of iron. One of the things that might tip the balance here would be the relationships. And in this case, we do actually want to improve things with the Maganids. We also have just lots of money in general, so this makes a lot of sense. Face in gold. Not long after the first coins with your kingly visage appear in the streets of Carthage, emissaries from Greece request a meeting. It seems their ruler, Gelon, wishes to see his own face staring back at him in gold. We will organize a meeting to discuss Carthage with the Greeks, but they must be willing to negotiate. So the privilege is reserved for the true king, me. It is only right that they pay for their coinage, or the Greeks must be willing to trade. The legitimacy is nice, but I feel like getting tech would be good, especially because the Greeks, I think, are still ahead of us. No, primitive. Interesting. Okay, in this case, the privilege is reserved for the true king, me. The gods of Carthage watch closely. Religion is not yet a question of faith, but an act of everyday life. Collections of rituals and rites developing in an attempt to avoid the calamitous ruin of a god's anger. But this is a time of change, when not even divinity is constant. New gods and heroes attract followers to their social and mystical cult shrines, while world religions emerge and spread, seeking to establish their legal and theological footing among the common people and the courts of royalty alike. New leaders, the clergy, guide the faithful, whose reverent passion can spill into the streets as a religious dissent if not appeased. Tread carefully as you navigate these rituals and religions. The beliefs of a nation may see it rise or fall. The world of the sacred and the profane awaits. Carrying the torch. Matriarch Umashtart meets with you to discuss spiritual matters, as she has recently taken up the mantle of the leader of Carthaginian paganism in the wake of Biric's death. She converses with you on various issues as you stroll through the palace garden after attending a sacrifice, until finally getting to the heart of the matter. My predecessor, Biric, God rest her soul, was rather distant from you based on all correspondence I have read. I came here to see for myself what sort of person you are. How shall you respond to this? I am but a mere mortal, and she becomes jealous about me, or I am a loyal patron of Carthaginian paganism, or alternatively I am a humble servant of God, but we're not devout, so we'll pay up for the good relations. Leading the next generation, Oligarch Birkok meets with you to discuss court matters, as she has recently taken up the mantle of family head of the Magonids in the wake of Valhano's death. She converses with you on various issues as you stroll through the palace garden, until finally getting to the heart of the matter. My predecessor, Valhano, God rest his soul, was rather pleased with you based on all correspondence I have read. I came here to see for myself what sort of person you are. Yes, I would say we got along well, or I am always available for the Magonid family. In this case, we'll save the money because we will still get the influence anyway. Time passes quickly, and Duchess Sayara is growing up fast and eager to learn. How would you like to educate Sayara? We can do philosophy, politics, or tactics. In this case, I think we'll do philosophy. And King Ashmunazar the Invincible has died in office, so we can choose a new candidate. In this case, only Confucius is available unless I want to move myself. I'm assuming I'm a general? Nope, he's governor of Hadramendon. Okay, we'll put Confucius in the job. Alright, that was a very eventful start of the turn. So let's just take a second here. We've got... If I have pearls available, I want to send them to the Didonians. Looks like we still need to work on that. Are all of my family members married who can be? Spouse? Okay, I think we're in good shape. I do notice that a lot of the families not yet Carthaginian pagan. So we can get some conversions in. Okay. No tutoring missions yet, so I'm actually going to leave the rest of this aside for now. I'm going to focus on military matters for a bit. That one was a pretty easy choice to make. So that seems straightforward just because they're protected by the walls. I was a little surprised by that, if I'm honest. Trying to think what might be... yeah. So the best we can do is just not be on flat territory. Okay. I'd say if I can, we should probably send these against the raiders, but I do have a few other things I want to do, like take care of the Spartans. So again, I don't believe we can, yeah, we can't hire them as mercenaries. So the court awaits your command. Shall we declare war on the Spartans? Proceed with war preparations. Carthage is now at war with the Spartans. So there's a few things that I can do to try and improve my chances at a few things. So number one, I'd like to start off by roughing up the rough up the horse unit. Another big question here is going to be how much we can do against the hoplites, or whatever. Yeah, Spartan hoplites. So in this case, we've got epics, hero leader, friendly family. Anti-polearm is the thing that that matters the most to me here. So unfortunately, we're kind of locked down in this area right now until we can get rid of the Spartans. But the slingers will do the trick. Okay, this opens up some possibilities for us. Now I can poke and hit them in the back. I suppose that will have to do. The thing I'm trying to avoid here is spending too much. Like, I do want to wipe out units, but ideally I would wipe out like important units to the enemy. Well, yeah, that's just asking for them to poke the elephant, so... Okay. So there's one other thing I want to do before I go too far anywhere else. I want to make sure that I don't have anything I don't have anything else for my my workers to do. Alright, what do we want to do with Oea? So we're still waiting on a new citizen. Treasury's not bad because it does give me some extra money. I don't think it would I also don't think it would hurt to have another Byrene. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's do Treasury first. Sorry, that wasn't Oea too. This is Oea. It may be an idea for us to try... so War Elephant... I got to see the difference between African Elephant and War Elephant. Rout and Panic versus... Okay. Well, I should probably use my citizens first, so Gardener first. Adrumentum, I think I'm going to go for the Treasury first. I have a few options here in terms of expanding our borders. I think maybe we add a minor. Okay. What next? So I can build a courthouse a hamlet may not be a bad idea here. I'm not so sure about building a courthouse here. I think I am going to build the hamlet, though, even though it means buying up some stone. Ooh, actually, stone's super expensive. I'm actually going to build a quarry. So they're recommending a mine here. I think I see why, because of the existing adjacent mines. And to be honest, we're at plus 58 on that, so I don't think that's a bad call either. This guy has got a heal. Yeah, I've got so many workers that aren't doing stuff right now. I'd love to do warm baths, but unfortunately I've already spent all of the stone, so unless I can build another quarry, I think I need to leave that be. Lumber mill's probably a good idea, though. So interestingly enough, they really want me to build a range, even though presumably we have other... Oh, no, apparently not. So, I mean, I don't hate the idea of building a range here because it gives me... Wait, so does this mean we have baths somewhere? I don't even know how I would tell in a convenient way. Yeah, like the thing is that if I have a hamlet here, it feels a little weird to just use that for a military building. I'm going to skip that for now because we actually have battle units. I think we'll put you as a sentry. Okay, so... Oh god, what do I do here? I've got an empty city site at the moment, which I don't like. Of these units, what do I want to give up the most? Okay, I think I can live with this. So this is a great spot for my my axe units to be. Save for the fact that the militia is actually causing us some grief. Amitbal has died. Governor Zromar the Deceitful, governor of Hippo Regius, has died in office. Matriarch Umishtar, general of the Sacred Band, has died in the field. King Utpan the New is feeling ill, lightheaded, and weak. News arrives from abroad that Ariant the Libyan is dead. Queen Hippolyta now leads the Libyans, and Matriarch Birik is now head of Carthaginian paganism. Their opinion of you has gone from cautious to upset. Governor Sapinbal has converted Carthaginian paganism. Alright, so it looks like I just got kicked out of my own chat room. If you can just give me a second here, I might be able to get a word on... I don't think anybody said anything, but if you've said anything since Algrin's welcome back, I didn't see it, and I apologize. Alright, we've completed the silver mine. With our acquisition of silver for Carthage, we are about to become a powerful independent nation, much more than a colony of Tyre. Carthage stands on its own feet, both as a growing military empire and now as the dominant trading center of the Mediterranean Sea. Yet it is only the beginning. Let us build our wealth and amass 20,000 units of money. If we reach this goal within a century of the siege of Tyre, we won't ever need to conquer our neighbors. They will gladly submit their tributes to us in order to gain access to our markets. Wow, alright. As the silver flows from the productive mine now under our control, so must flow the wealth of the entire region. We only need to decide our next priority. What shall it be? The oligarchs have weighed in with their opinions, of course. The Barkan clan desire that we catch enough fish to feed every oarsman on our navy. A man does not row well on an empty stomach. The Magonids crave the finest luxuries to sell in their shops. Wine for the men, incense for the temples, olive oil in every home cook's pot. The Hananid clan speak on behalf of the common citizenry, the laborers in particular. We need to bolster our grain production with imports from Iberia. None should go hungry in Carthage. The Didonian clan craves the finest marble. Even our most mundane buildings should be as palaces before the eyes of visiting merchants. Bolster our reputation in order to fill our coffers. Yeah, no worries, Algrins. I never want it to feel like people are obligated to participate in chat. However, if I do see a welcome to the chat room message, that's always been an indicator that something went wrong in chat, and I have had cases where people have actually gotten kind of upset that I wasn't responding to their stuff, so I just want to acknowledge where I can when something's happened and that there was possibly something I missed. Okay, so 4 marble quarries, 2 barley, 2 wheat, 2 salt. I don't think we have that. And then wine, incense, and olives seems like a tough one. I think marble might be the easiest, but the thing I'm actually going to select and redo because I want to see how much we've already done. Yeah, no, I definitely saw the welcome back from the laundry, so that was just the marker for when welcome to the chat room popped up, which usually means that something before that, if it's been quiet for a while, that can usually mean that I've actually been out of chat for a while, but it can also mean that, things are just quiet. Okay, so if I go wines, incense, and olives, so they really want me to get the onager. As it is, this is actually the fastest we can do too. Talented politician, a member of the local government in Nuea, has earned a reputation for shrewdness and efficiency. We need a new diplomat on the court, and new court minister Yazbal has joined the court. Her aptitude in matters of state will keep Carthage moving forward. Oh my god. I am going to want to, go back on all of this so that I can see the... Oh, actually, it's just a matter of getting the olives. I think maybe I'll stick with that. Sorry, I'll just be back in a second. Okay, Carthage enjoys an era of scholarship and learning, such as never been seen before in the history of our nation. Wisdom and knowledge flow freely throughout our cities, revealing understanding where before there was only superstition. We are a shining beacon of enlightenment in an ignorant and foolish world. How shall we further advance the cause of education and the observation of nature and humankind? We can focus on educating the people, happiness in Carthage and Nuea. We must continue to explore new frontiers of knowledge. This will cost us a lot of money, so I don't want to do it. And we are obligated to utilize our brightest minds on military matters. Ooh, 2 ballista. Nice. I think I'm actually going to go for the happiness, though. Governor Zormon the Deceitful, governor in Hipporigius, has died in office. So we'll choose a new governor. Only one option here. Now, unfortunately, they cost me money, but I prefer that to not having a governor. Shada is governor of Gades, so they can be a delver, a naturalist. I wish I had a better idea of what they were producing. I don't even remember where... Right. Okay, so we don't really have any mines in the region. However, we may want to because of the Magonid bonus. Or we can have them make me more money per turn. I think we'll go for Delver. Okay. lots to do again. So I'm going to do something kind of foolish here. I'm going to sell a bunch of my stone. Oh, no, I'm not. Now I will. The question is, do I want to completely sell it all out? Maybe we'll wait till the end of the turn. I need the money. Okay. Other thing I want to think about is where am I going to get the remaining olives? So Awea we're already working on. Ah. I know how we're going to do that. So first thing we need to do is actually go to Carthage and expand. So we need to wait 4 years for a citizen, but then that's going to get us access to all of this territory here. So I can't build... I actually wanted to build a settler, but that's not a good call here. I need to basically tie things up for 2 years. Festival will help because that gives me growth as well. Okay, Carthage... I think we'll go for the farmer. Malacca. Happy to get the lavender. Okay, so we have tutoring. Yeah, unfortunately we can only tutor one at a time. What else? Let's focus on the Spartan War. So I'm a little nervous about this axeman's health. You're now known as Yudpan the Warrior. Okay. So ideally I could get a unit in here. Maybe I still can. Okay, but looks like I'm completely surrounded here, so that's a non-starter. Yeah, so I'm really struggling to get people into the spots where I want them, so... I want to undo that. So better to put them here. Because then I can take my spear unit, push them in there. So unfortunately, I don't have anywhere I can move with this unit. I'm actually a lot worse off in this fight than I thought I would be. Like, we've used up all the units, and we haven't really made the dent we wanted. Okay, this unit I wanted to move to the city site. So we'll see about the rest. Hang on. This unit can stay put. So here I gotta be kind of selective with how I use my turns. Ideally, we send some units in to support our efforts against the Spartans. This helps. I think we'll skip the builders for now. Not here, though. I do think mines make sense. Alright, that's the turn spoken for. So let's see how many minutes. We probably lose this axeman. That looks like a retreat. King Utpan the warrior is feeling much better now and is no longer ill. Takri, how are you doing? Spendthrift, reports from the school where Malchus receives commerce training paint a disappointing picture. It seems that Malchus has spent all of his allowance and is cheating classmates out of their money. So much for his education in banking and commerce. So he becomes extravagant, he must work harder at the training, or he has the full support of the throne. Nope, will become estranged. Influence mission. Recently, you've been thinking about improving relations with Queen Tanist, who knows what benefits such a friendship could bring. An influence mission could help you accomplish that. Shall I send out to influence Queen Tanist and thereby improve her opinion of you? Sure, we get it for free. Okay, so the important thing here, as always, is to avoid losing units where I can. There's a specific order in which I want to try and do some of these things. So this unit's still kind of locked down. I think if we fire off with one of these... I kind of question the choice, but... Okay, there's some possibilities here. So yeah, that's a heavy hit against the elephants. But obviously we're able to put some heavy damage on their most valuable units. Okay, I'm feeling a little rosier about my prospects here. I'm actually going to take a second here and cycle through my existing cities just to make sure I don't have any obvious places that I can get I can get some olives. Okay, we're gonna hold that off. You're okay? Did the first part of our at least 2-part finale in the D&D game today. Oh, excellent. Did you win? um, sorry, I'm trying to wrap myself up in a blanket again, and I'm utterly failing to do so. One thing I wanted to talk... I was originally going to talk about this before... This is not related to D&D, by the way. But I wanted to talk about this for... before I found out about Robert Lucas. There's kind of been this ongoing engagement with some of the classic stuff I did in school. Harbor is very welcome here. But yeah, like, this is one of the things, and again, this comes back to what I liked about Civilization, what I like about a lot of different, 4X games and games with historical themes. But I know when we were talking about Book of Hours, I mentioned this book by W.K.C. Guthrie, the Greek philosophers from Thales to Aristotle. And I was delighted to find out I was probably just misinformed in terms of the availability of the work, but this actually is, so far as I can tell, still in publication. So all of that hard work that I put into trying to get my copy is not actually necessary. It seems that Routledge does actually publish it's the same book, but like a modern version of it. I think it's got like a viewfinder or something like that on it. So in any case, it's I like it quite a bit. So it's the version I have is a very old book, so it actually lists the chapters on the back of the book here, but the chapters are Greek ways of thinking. So that's an introduction. That was the part that we read during Book of Hours. Matter and form. So that deals with the Milesians and Pythagoras. The problem of motion. So I'm going to assume that that's probably referring to Heraclitus and Pythagoras. Or not Pythagoras, Parmenides. I can find it though, because usually it puts parentheticals below. Yeah, Parmenides and the pluralists. Next one is the problem of motion. So that is... I'm actually kind of curious how... Oh, no, sorry, we did the problem of motion. The reaction towards humanism. So that one has got to have Xenophanes at least. Probably Empedocles and maybe the Sophists. Oh, interesting. Nope, just the Sophists and Socrates. So I guess the problem of motion would have Empedocles and Xenophanes. And then finally it ends with 2 chapters on Plato. So Plato, the Doctrine of Ideas, and ethical and theological answers to the Sophists. And then it concludes with Aristotle. Yeah, well, I mean, so the specific that happened here was... the first time I found a copy of this book, I was really excited for it, but I was, for lack of a better term, on a date. And I don't even think the person I was with was necessarily that interested. Like, this will sound self-congratulatory, but I have observed this. Like, sometimes my enthusiasm for a topic will make someone enthusiastic for it. So it could be that they got into it because I was into it, or it might have just been sort of a demand for a sacrifice. But in any case, I found it. I was going to get it for myself, but they wanted it. And I'm like, well, be a gentleman about it. I'll gift them the book. The only reason I say it is, so far as I can tell, they never read it. But in any case, I was a little, I was a little disappointed that this book that I'd looked for such a long time was just just in my possession and then taken away for other reasons. But I did find another copy, and I did pick it up. But again, it does seem that while I was spending a lot of time in used bookstores and sort of hoping for the opportunity, because it does seem that there's some actually nice classic stuff that occasionally winds up in a used bookstore I go to frequently. So I don't know if there's like a classicist in Ottawa that is just downsizing their library or what, but I've been the beneficiary of it for sure. But anyways, I quite like Guthrie's take on it. It's also quite a short book. So for those of you who, if you're like me, you've played this, and particularly with the addition of Neoplatonism in the sacred and the profane, the total page count is like 160 pages. It's a very thin book. So anyways, I read on the Milesians and Pythagoras, but what I also did was I picked up my it's called Early Greek Philosophy or something like that. It's edited by Patricia Curd, and it's got a number of selections from Richard McKirahan. And that has a bunch of the fragments. So this would be, Diogenes Laertius. This would be fragments from Aristotle. I think Aristotle was the first one to sort of sit down and try and do some kind of history of philosophy. And so, for instance, the pre-Socratic philosopher we normally associate with the beginning of philosophy is Thales, who was one of the 7 sages of ancient Greece. And, probably if you know anything about him, you know that he predicted a solar eclipse. Actually, just give me a second here. I was reading it in the bath like a complete degenerate. So, so the book I've got here is a Pre-Socratics Reader 2nd edition from Hackett. So this isn't a complete collection of Pre-Socratics writing, but it's a good selection. It's intended for use in an academic setting, like a class. I'm pretty sure I get the impression that a lot of this stuff is from a larger work by McKirahan, and I suspect if I look at the acknowledgements, I'm going to see... I think it was called Philosophy Before Socrates. There's a copyright notice that... Here we go. Acknowledgements, excerpts from Richard D. McKirahan's Philosophy Before Socrates, an introduction with texts and commentary, 2nd edition. But in any case, they're called the Milesians because they were from a city-state called Miletus. I think Aristotle's effort to try and come up with an explanation in terms of what was going on, what was in the water in Miletus to make things work out that way. And it's, just enough wealth to sort of allow people enough leisure to start contemplating on things. But the reason why I specifically wanted to mention Thales, we don't really know a whole lot about his thought. There's definitely suggestion from what Aristotle writes about him that even he didn't have access to original works by him, or at the very least, they were very hard to find. You actually find this every once in a while. You'll have like a commentator talk about how difficult it is to get a copy of a certain work, and so they're giving a longer quotation than would be necessary because they think that work should continue to be referenced. But in any case, one of the things we have, and again, this could be apocryphal, but one of the things about Thales comes from Theaetetus, which is by Plato. And the quote here goes, "They say once when Thales was gazing upwards while doing astronomy, he fell into a well, and that a witty and charming Thracian serving girl made fun of him for being eager to know the things in the heavens, but failing to notice that he was just behind him and failing to notice what was just behind him and right by his feet. On a similar note, this is a story from Aristotle in Politics. And this is, you'll have heard some variation on this in lots of other circumstances. The story goes that when they were reproaching him for his poverty, supposing that philosophy is useless, he learned from his astronomy that the olive crop would be large. Then, while it was still winter, he obtained a little money and made deposits on all of the olive presses, both in Miletus and in Chios. And since no one had bid against him, he rented them cheaply. When the time came, suddenly many requested the presses all at once, and he rented them out on whatever terms he wished. And so he made a great deal of money. In this way, he proved that philosophers can easily be wealthy if they wish, but that is not what they are interested in. So, probably the first recorded version of, well, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Accusation. Xenophanes actually also has a point where one of his fragments is basically complaining about the fact that athletes get all the credit and nobody cares about philosophers. So there's absolutely nothing new under the sun. But in any case, Thales is kind of known for, there's a couple things. Number one, predicting an eclipse. There's one of the seven sages, we would consider to be the founder of the Milesian school, the people who came after him. And these names are unfortunate just because it's so easy to get them tangled up, but I believe it's Anaximander is the one that comes afterwards, and Anaximenes is the one who comes after Anaximander. And then to make it still more confusing, there's also Anaxagoras, but he's not a Milesian. But in any case, these were people, usually when you hear some version of the most fundamental unit of the of the world being an element, these are the people that you're often thinking of. So, for instance, Thales had this idea that either everything was water or everything came from water. And then there's also this idea that, it was all water down below. And then, of course, that invites the question, well, what does the water rest on? Anaximander actually had an interesting approach to this. So he talked about this idea of apeiron. So it's kind of this one substance that everything's made out of. Wait, was it? Or was he... Maybe he was air. I'll know it when I read the fragments, because again, I keep mistaking Anaximenes and Anaximander. Yeah, so there's Hyperion, and this is basically everything sort of made out of that. But what was interesting about him, so I think he's credited with being the creator of the first map. And then the one that I thought, oh yes, references to fossils and like really early indicators for evolution, which I thought was kind of neat. So from Censorius on the day of birth, Anaximander believed that there arose from heated water and earth either fish or animals very like fish. In these, humans grew and were kept inside as embryos up to puberty, and then finally they burst as men and women came forth already able to nourish themselves. He also, this is Pseudo-Plutarch Opinions, he also declares that in the beginning humans were born from animals of a different kind, since other animals quickly manage on their own, and humans alone require lengthy nursing. For this reason, they would not have survived if they had been like this at the beginning. Of course, there's other parts which, maybe are not not so close to the mark. I mean, there's obviously stuff in there that doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyway, but this is one. Anaximander says that the first animals were produced in moisture, enclosed in thorny barks. When their age advanced, they came out onto the drier part. Their bark broke off, and they lived a different mode of life for a short time. But again, like what's kind of neat about these, so there's a couple things that are worth recognizing in this, which is first of all, you've got this move away from sort of this religious view of the world, where you'll look at Homer or Hesiod. You have these invocations to the muses, and essentially this kind of this appeal to the divine in terms of understanding where things are coming from. The Milesians are the ones who are credited, even if it's not present inside the fragments, there is at least some evidence that they are feeling a need to justify the observations that they're making about the world, and they are developing these systems through reasoning and argument. And like, to be honest with it, like, I'm not entirely sure the right way of looking at this is to say, well, how close are they to our conception of the world today? But to be honest, like, they definitely had some pretty, like, if you just sit and think about the fact that even the basic idea of having to work out how the world is working, independent of this idea that the world is just the way that it is, and it's capricious, and there's not really any point in in going beyond inspiration from the muses to explain what's going on, right? Everything you need to know is in Homer. Don't bother going any further. There's, I think, some pretty, for me at least, it seems like some pretty impressive stuff. So for instance, it's the one after Thales. The one after Thales is Anaximander. For him, his answer regarding the world, and what does it rest on, is it doesn't rest on anything. He says, but because it's equidistant from everything, it doesn't have, there's no reason for it to move up or down. It's, in the center. It doesn't make sense to ask what it's resting on just because it's there in the middle. Why would it move, to the right or to the left or up or down? It's there. It's in the center, which, obviously does not apply at all to the world as it really is. But I would also argue that perhaps that model of the world works rather well until you start wanting to try and launch satellites and working, obviously that if you think about just in terms of the physical forces working on the world, that can actually get you pretty far. When again you're kind of starting, so again, I don't want to try and suggest that we need to go back to these people for wisdom, but it is actually kind of interesting just to see people working through, and you have someone who's like, everything's water or came from water, and it's all resting on water, and then somebody say, well, that doesn't make any sense because what does the water rest on? No, obviously this is just holding in place. I think in the case of Anaximenes, it was the earth was sort of shaped like a drum, kind of this cylinder, the cylinder object. But the one that actually really kind of got my attention was the third. Sorry, I said Anaximander was the one who had everything in the center. Anaximenes was the one that I wanted to talk about. This is the last one that I read in terms of the fragments. And what was neat was he had this idea, I think it actually gets translated into air, although it's not, it shouldn't be taken as one of the four elements. It's a different kind of thing. But he has this, his justification for it, as opposed to it being this infinite substance like Apeiron. He has this idea of condensation and rarefaction. One of the arguments that he sort of makes here, right? You can actually observe this at play, where when you open your mouth wide and breathe out, it's warm. And when you put your lips close together and blow, it's cold, right? And that in the end, what you have, you have this most rarefied form, which becomes fire, and this kind of most condensed form, which becomes earth. And that kind of explains all of the different variation. And again, right, clearly that's not how it works, but you can really sort of see people going from this first idea, and first of all, sort of seeing the world in a different way, breaking out of this this way of thinking of the world which had held sway for so long, but also sort of developing a system by which they're sort of challenging some of the work that came before. Again, all of these people came from Miletus, and presumably they either knew or maybe even studied. The tradition is that they were all students of each other. But then the other thing, the one I haven't even gotten into, and then I won't go that much further, but Pythagoras, when I read the Guthrie book, I completely forgot about some of the other fun and wild stuff about Pythagoras, like the idea that he apparently had a golden thigh. Basically, I guess what I would say is the more you read about the ancient world and pre-Socratic philosophy, the more you get really good ideas for D&D campaigns. Or possibly Bond villains. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to do. So one, I wanted, like, the main reason why I'm reading this stuff is again the Neoplatonism stuff, and in the end, what I'm really looking to do is make sure that I'm engaging with it in a way that I'm able to sort of appreciate the Neoplatonists as this synthesis of what had come before. And so with that in mind, I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to get a bit of a refresher on the pre-Socratics. Do I really want to give up so much for so little benefit? Wow. Yep, nope, they've got a polearm. So I should actually be kind of careful about that. Again, I hate that I'm keeping these workers idle. So the museum and the necropolis would both be wonderful, but just not really affordable for me right now. I do think we can put an iron mine, or a mine down though. And I do like money. Okay, so I have 5 moves, and I guess the question here is, do I want to spend it on... Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I do want to get my people into... kind of back into rotation, but I'm going to split the difference. So it's basically, if you've got 3 movement points, I'm going to move you, and if you don't have 3 movement points, you're going to stay put. But yeah, so anyways, this is admittedly a really winding road for me to, to get into this. But yeah, this is just another example in terms of the, gaming being a nice little gateway for me to get into some subjects which I've always been interested in, but obviously, sometimes you get busy, sometimes, other things come up. But this has been a nice excuse to kind of get back to a topic that I'm interested in. All right, Governor Ildash the Younger is converted to Carthaginian paganism. I first of all forgot to sell off a bunch of stone, so let's do that now, because that's worth a lot. Getting closer. Okay, military matters. The big thing here is really just trying to figure out I want to take these guys out. That goes without saying. But I don't want to hang my people out to dry. Yeah, see, that doesn't actually finish the job. This does, though. So my understanding is they shouldn't be able to come after this guy. Now, if I cause them to panic, though, they would be able to go and kill. So we don't do that. I hope I'm right on that. You know what, we're gonna undo that. Ugh. Okay, we can move this unit to... Actually, nope, that doesn't work because they'll be slower. So we'll protect you in Igligli. Okay. How close can I get to... Well, we don't really need them on the front anymore. I'd like to... Oh yeah, I can't improve them because they're Balearic Slingers. So we'll turn you into a sentry. So I do at some point want to go exploring again, but obviously I have other concerns. Okay, festival's done. The main focus here was to... So it's not like I really need the woodcutter, it's more I want access to the olives. Okay, I don't even know what they need here. So they've got slingers already. So I have a few ways to expand our territory. Might as well go for it. Farmer makes the most sense. Okay, so healing's first priority. I could have sworn there were options for olives here. Either way, we'll skip it for now. I think I will go for another quarry. I want a hamlet here. I feel like we have better options. Skip you. I feel like I should probably deploy this unit somewhere else. How long are you going to be doing this? 2 years. It's tight, but we should still be able to make it. Okay, we'll skip you for now. I think we can afford the promotion. And I suppose at this point here, we're really just trying to get our units home. All right, let's see what the next turn brings. We're at 77 of 100, so I do need to start. I do need to start thinking about how I'm gonna wrap this all up. Oligarch Himilco the Tactician has died. General Ashnat Horsebane, General of the Spearmen, has died in the field. Prince Adonabal is now old enough to be tutored by courtiers. Isbal the Minister has tutored Duke Malchus, improving his charisma. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Queen Tanist, but appear weak in the process. We've influenced them, but lose legitimacy. Reports of a tribal raid from the Numidian encampment near Hipporegius, and Duke Belbad the Steadfast is now head of the Didonian family. Their opinion of me has gone from pleased to cautious. Okay, we've discovered machinery. It's recommending manor, which will give us conscripts as well as professional army or volunteers. Our alternative is stirrups with horsemen. I think probably manor makes sense here. Returned by grace. After Himilco the Tactician's funeral rites, you are approached by a young woman who claims to be the courtier's long-lost daughter. The Carthaginian pagan disciple believes that it is the god's will that she serves you as her father did before. Will you accept Zromond the Younger's service? Turn away the young soldier, or... No, I think I can take another court soldier. A new court soldier, Zmorod, has joined the court. Her experience in matters of war will help keep Carthage safe. I actually know someone who looks a bit like this. It's very unnerving when this character shows up. Time passes quickly. Prince Adonabal is growing up fast and eager to learn. How would you like to educate Adonabal? I think we will get a tactician here. I do like harbors, although I should be focusing on this Spartan war before anything else. Okay. So the axe units are anti-pole arms, so that's the ideal combination. Okay, that should be the Spartans taken care of. We'll use this as an excuse to scout out the rest of the area. Still not sure about the explorers. Okay, Gardener completed, so that should be 3 of 4 olives for us. Unfortunately, we don't have any more in the immediate area. I think I'm actually going to go for an apprentice officer. Hadramentum. So we built a treasury. I actually don't hate the idea of expanding the borders. Carthago Nova. We don't have citizens. I am slightly inclined towards a treasury. Just because cash is king right now. Malacca. I don't think the stonecutters expand our border at this point. But it's all we can really build. Okay. I'm going to do the usual sell our... Actually, we're getting really close to that objective. There we go. You've completed the goal, amassed 20,000 money. We have become the wealthiest city in all of the Mediterranean region. So, only one more goal before we get the supreme victory. At this point, we can sort of afford to spend a lot of cash. But again, where possible, we'd like to be sensible about it. Malchus is the closest to moving up. Commerce student, so discipline would be better. Adonabal and Zyara. Zyara is the next oldest. Okay. It's a start. Oh, but I still have... I do have a couple of military matters to take care of before I start patting myself on the back. Okay, this is definitely going to be one that I spend the points on for the force march. So we're not out of the woods yet. Like, we've got a couple of other raids that we need to worry about, but we've got enough breathing space for to handle what's coming up. This can now be a sentry. I'm going to adjust the archery. I feel like this should probably go... Okay, not even close. It's nice to have such a large army, but obviously I'm like, doesn't really matter that it exists just because I'm spending so much time trying to get it in place. Governor Imilce the Younger has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Memory for the gods. The tutors of Malchus have heard of a writer who uses an advanced system of poetic meters to make the history of Carthage easy to memorize. This even includes the long lists of Carthaginian pagan gods, although the writer is known to hold them in ill regard. The tutors think this framework could help with Malchus' counting and memory, but are worried that the ideas that this rationalistic teacher may impart. So, agree to the teaching. He becomes intelligent, poet, or impious, or refuse the aid of the teacher. Or this is something any writer knows. Teach the child your own memory techniques. Yes, let's agree to the teaching. Commerce studies. Now that Duke Malchus has completed his study of commerce, how shall he contribute to the court? So he can become a schemer, good for an agent or spy master, or an orator, which would be good for charisma but not good for discipline. I think we'll make him a schemer. Descended from Astarte. The legends of Carthage say that Queen Dido brought the high priest of Astarte across the seas with her, promising him and his descendants the position of high priest in her new city. Matriarch Byrrhc, the current head of Carthaginian paganism, claims that the rights of the role have dwindled across the years, and he is looking to restore the position to power. So give him control of the nation's education, appoint her to a role as special advisor, refuse to grant any more powers to the matriarch. I think we will give up the civics for that. Our spies in the nearby Numidian encampments report a rise in the number of foreign visitors, notably of Greek soldiers. They suggest a possible alliance between the Numidians and Greece. Such a partnership would threaten us at every turn. We suggest reaching out to Queen Tanist to mend your ailing relationship. Host Tanist at the palace for a friendly visit. This will come at the cost of popularity among the families. Threaten hostilities if the Numidians do not expel all Greeks. I don't see that ending well for us. Well, threaten hostilities. Offended by our audacity, Tanist outright refuses your request to expel all Greeks from his tribe. We shall keep whatever company we desire, declares the message, ending abruptly. Perhaps some gold will change your mind. Oh, I gotta go for the grove. Because that gets us our win. Okay, healing. Sometimes the turns aren't exciting. I think an academy... I think we can justify an academy. Well, that or I could do... you know what? I'll do the mine. Okay, the archer definitely is going to stay put here. Put them on sentry. Okay, we definitely want to heal up the units that we can. So I feel like I need to find a better place for these slingers. So let's maybe send them to Hippo Regius. Actually, you know what? It's not hurting to have them here, so... Okay, so these definitely get a sentry. Hold. So I want these folks eventually to get to Hippo Regius. Is there anything else I could do? Yeah, actually there's a couple things that I want to be doing here. So first of all, let's convert who we can to Carthaginian paganism. Oh, wait, she doesn't like me, does she? Yeah. So I'm curious what happens if I induct Baelbad into the clergy. I don't have that option. Okay, I'm going to slowly begin the migration of units. But again, starting with the ones that get 3 sort of tokens of movement. So I wanted to move them to Oea, but we'll leave that be for now. Carthage got its miner, which I wanted. We'll go for an archive. That's the end of the year. So I need to start thinking about... I need to focus on my workers again. Because I do need that grove. Governor Sapinbal, the governor of Takabe, has died in office, and Carle of Carthago Nova has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Although the memory techniques are useful, the main lesson Duke Malchus has taken away from his impious teacher is a willful disregard for the gods. Today we grieve the death of Sanpal, a member of the Carthaginian court. Her spirit will be venerated, and her deeds will be remembered. Show respect. Seeking to improve relations, Galon, the tyrant of Greece, arrives to address the court. During his introductions, he insists that members of our court kneel to kiss his feet, as is customary in Greece. The heads of our noble houses passionately object to this request. As a grumble of discontent passes through the crowd, Galon looks to you for your decision. You must respect him as they respect me. Our people should not be forced to obey your customs. Or, in this court, all bow to me, King Utpan the Drill Master. Yep. No eligible governors for Takabe, so we'll work with that. Edibal is your chancellor. Let's make him... Let's improve the growth, actually. Ah, interesting. I would have thought I could have built a quarry here. Oh no, but it's outside of my borders. Of course I can't. Okay, now these guys I wanted to put down a grove, and this is one I'm willing to spend for a force march for. I think I will finally allow the game its range. So the nice thing is with this region, we're going to be able to start healing up a lot of these units. Okay. We still have citizens available, so I suppose the question is... do any of these improve my... So, I mean, stonecutters are good for civics as well as stone. I don't necessarily feel like I need the civics. But I definitely need the stone. I'm kind of on autopilot at this point just because I know... Sorry, if you can give me a second here. I noticed... noticing a little bit of oddness with my audio settings. Okay, cool. Essentially here, we're really just waiting on the Grove. Chancellor Adherbal, our Chancellor, has died in office. General Iboam of Carthago Nova, General of the Spearmen, has died in the field. Yzbal, Minister, has tutored Duke Malchus, improving his charisma. Zramod the Younger has tutored Duchess Zyara, improving her courage. Pygmalion, the Minister, has been inducted to the clergy. Now, I want to see if that improves their opinion of me. And Duke Baelbad, the Steadfast, has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Your show of dominance over tyrant Galon the Magnificent of Greece has only made him a more determined foe. I'm glad that I will not have to live with the consequences of that. I do sometimes get a little worried that I let the game play itself too much for me, but in this case here, I think the mill and ballista make sense. Let's pick a new chancellor. Yzbal. Gisco is governor of Malacca. Intelligent seems nice, but inspiring's even better. Thulath is your wife and governor of the Balearic Islands. No warlike wife. We'll make her more beautiful with charisma. No, intelligence I think makes sense here. Okay, it's a few things I wanted to get out of the way. Although actually getting this unit moving around is still okay. So we'll start with the theater. Now, what do I want to do with them? I think I'll just keep them as a sentry. No, hang on. I was moving them into... I think I was moving them into Hippo Regius. Okay, now I'm going to avoid the migration for a bit. I'm not ruling it out, but what I want to do first is... I want to make sure that all of my workers have done their thing first. There are exceptions, though. So crits on ranged units are pretty great. There's a slightly better version of that I can do. Oh. So we can promote first. Strike makes sense. Then upgrade, we get to do both. You know what? I'm going to adjust. So what I really want in the end is a unit of the same family type. It doesn't necessarily have to be the archer sitting in the city. So maybe we'll take one of the axemen and put them in there. Maybe we'll make him a maceman. Okay, moving right along. We are now known as Yutpan the Valiant. I do rather like Highlander, actually. I've noticed I've been sitting on a lot of hills. I may still use this unit, although I've been kind of holding... I've been tabbing instead of spacing for a lot. Okay, so I'm going to want to populate someone in that grove before too long. I've got 3 years before... So Master Officer will give me training, Master Acolyte will give me culture. I think I'll do the Master Acolyte first. Awea. Start with an archive. Carthago Nova will... I pretty much, if there's a special resource, I pretty much always want to follow up by... Usually I want to follow up with any sort of specialized resources that I have first. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to try and move the Great Migration into a place where they can heal. I don't think I even took a look at the exclamation mark. Governor, we'll see the younger governor of Keralis has died in office. Reports of a tribal raid from a Numidian encampment near Malacca. A friendly visit. A family friend paid a visit to Prince Adonibal's school and sends a glowing report about the heir's progress. He appears happy and healthy, and he is excited to return home and take his place in court. And send him a gift of academic texts, or send him wine for his revels with friends. Philosophy studies. Now that Duchess Zyara has completed her study of philosophy, how shall she contribute to the court? There's actually a couple things that I want to do here. So one, scholar or builder. I think we're going to go for a scholar here. Imprison mission. Duke Malchus is quite upset with you. Chancellor Yzbal has quietly suggested that you might conduct an imprison mission to get him out of the way. That won't do much to improve his opinion of you, but it will make him less able to interfere in your affairs. So, I think this is just because he doesn't like me. Let's find another way of resolving my differences with Malchus. The Fable of Aesop. Dido comes to you with a tale of a storyteller called Aesop, a mute slave given a voice by the gods after showing kindness to an Egyptian priest of Isis. The Muses then gave him inspiration to tell tales, with which he outwitted his philosopher master to gain his freedom. The storyteller traveled widely until he reached Hipporegius. His stories denounced the greed of the Carthaginian pagan and priests, and they forced him to jump to his death as punishment for his impiety. Dido has come into possession of Aesop's tablets of tales confiscated by the priests. What will you do with Aesop's fables? Preserve them in the libraries. Oh man, that's a huge one. So gain a bunch of culture. Ignore your duties to practice telling the stories yourself. I'll become a poet, or punish the priest for inflicting such a drastic penalty. I like all of these, but we'll preserve the fables. Okay. Choose a new governor if I can. Ooh, not the best set of traits, but Vircon is the governor of Carthage. They can become eloquent for extra civics, inspiring. I tend to like inspiring for the culture. I'm going to keep building harbors because they give me delicious money. As much as we can, send the pokey things at the bad guys. I'm going to wait a little bit on some of these, but at the very least I can clear out some of the stuff I know I'm not going to follow up on. So they should be sentry right now. also become a sentry. You also become a sentry. I'm gonna resist the urge to take too many actions with these units right now. My hope is to focus on builders where I can. Okay. I'll build an arc. I'm actually going to start building the buildings that have the lowest stone cost. The public purse. Now that Igligli thrives, its elders wish to do more for the poor. A proposal for welfare provisions in Igligli reaches the court, and debate begins. Imposing a grant of money for the hungry would reduce the state's funds, but it would set a powerful precedent. We'd be seen as a protector of the people. So we can establish the grain dole, use the money to influence the nobility, or buy food to distribute to the hungry. I think we'll do something a little more permanent, although obviously we don't have that much longer in the playthrough. So we've already got somebody working on the grove, which is good. We'll build another harbor. And looks like we've cycled through again, so... I think this is fine for the most part. I'm going to slightly adjust where I keep people, though. I feel we should have a barracks at some point, but... Okay. I'm probably going to want to focus on the western side, but I think even more I want to move my people into slightly more useful territory. Ah. Actually, one thing I can do, I'll take you... I'm actually going to keep these guys in Gades. I think it probably makes sense at a minimum to have one ranged, one melee, and I suspect that's underinvesting in my, my defense. So I wish I had some indication in terms of exactly the journey that they wind up taking. I'll start with that. I have no idea if that actually gets me anything. I'm going to do something a little counterintuitive with my bow unit. I actually want to start trading out a few of these units so that I can get more, so I can get healthier ones defending the area. Okay, there's actually one other thing that I forgot to do. So I don't think Malchus has a wife yet. But I also don't seem to have the option to... Yeah, so for whatever reason I can't seem to marry them off. Surely with Duchess Sayara we should be able to do that. No, interesting. So did they just remove the option to try and... Do they just remove the option to try and marry, like arrange a marriage? It seems unusual. We'll see what happens next turn. There may be some information I'm missing on this. Your wife has given birth to a son, Duke Melak. Governor Zushan of Malacca has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Duchess consort Zikabont the Younger has converted to Greek paganism. No good. And Confucius the Minister has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Let's take the free turn as elephant. So, as before, where I can, I will go for the less expensive stone buildings. Okay, so now what I want to do is follow up on basically, if I have a chance to do something like marry someone off, tutor them, I want to follow up on these before I go any further. Okay. That's not what I was looking for. So I'm wondering if I talk to the family. Family marriage requires can marry. Says there is some kind of an indicator. So it makes sense to me here that Adonabal is not available to marry because he's 15. Duke Baelbad, I suppose it makes sense here because he already has a spouse. Duke Malchus, on the other hand, so for the actions that I can't take, I can't convert to state religion because we don't have a state religion. The fact that I'm not able to arrange a marriage now seems a little weird. Okay, I'm actually going to do a quick search for this just to make sure I'm not missing something obvious. I'm getting a bunch of Reddit threads about arranged marriages. So you can only get people to marry if they're in line for the throne, it seems. That includes your grandchildren. Now, it would seem to me that that applies to Malchus. So It's currently a UI bug in which you have more than one family. When you click on the portrait in the family tree screen, the option to arrange a marriage is not there. You have to exit the screen, and in the main interface, the option appears. But that's a thread from 3 years ago. Taking a quick look here at the Reddit. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to spend that much time looking at it. I will maybe just take one more peek at the yeah, Malchus is definitely in line for the throne. But we'll wait for another, we'll wait for a time when it like really matters. Okay. So we can can't build a museum, but I do want to build an Odeon that lets me expand my range. We built the Grove, right? Yes. So I'm actually going to change that so that I can get the gardener. That's 8 years we're waiting. Not my favorite, but... But it is a guaranteed win once we have that. Okay, heal the workers that I can. So I'm going to set them up as sentry again just because there's nothing I can really do about them. Wait, with you... Actually, let's not do it that way. Switch first. Again, the ongoing changing of the guard where I can. I'm actually gonna wait. I'm gonna cycle through these because it occurred to me I probably want to... I want to manage my workers first. Okay, you definitely get a sentry. Still have 15 left. So here it might make sense to just leave this unit. Okay, no, that's fine. Figure we might as well take out the barbarians if we can. Okay, looks like we've cycled through, so... Where we can, we'd like to maneuver on the barbarians. Alright, that's a little unfortunate, but we can sort it. Kind and patient, Duke Malchus, your nephew, fourth in line, is gracious. Should find some groves to put this temple nearby. So Windmill will give adjacency bonuses to mines, quarries, and lumber mills. I actually think that makes a heck of a lot of sense here. I do rather like the Citadel idea. Now for Hippo Regius, so there's one grove here, but I feel like we have other regions that are a little better suited for that. Amphitheater's tempting, and affordable. The windmill would make sense, but I don't have the stone for it. So I'm going to skip that for now. I'm actually going to move to Carthage, because Carthage can build a gardener. And that's 3 years for me to get my win. I really need to have more Magadan units in this area. There's a couple things that I'm going to do. So first of all, we'll move people onto barracks. I'm not quite ready to start beating people up yet. Well, these guys I'm ready to start beating up, but for different reasons. Okay, now we can start beating people up. I think we can live without the skirmishers. I think I'm gonna buy up some orders so that I can get some healing and such in as well. Okay. The rest of this we'll do the production and then call it. I used to think I had enough stone, but I clearly do not. Like, I should have been building quarries for days. Governor Elisar, Governor of Igligli, has died in office. Spymaster Rabbi has died in office, and Confucius has died in office. I am now known as Yutpan the Brilliant. Today we grieve the death of Confucius the Minister, a member of the Carthaginian court. His spirit will be venerated, and his deeds will be remembered. We have received an update from your son in training. He complains about the harshness of military exercises and weapon drills, and he wishes us to hire a veteran soldier to tutor him privately. We can say, come home, your family misses you and he becomes timid, or we are proud and will send a tutor promptly. Trusted, your time on the frontiers has earned you a reputation as a general of skill and a defender of the people. Everywhere you pass, young people are eager to sign on to your banner, determined to be part of something magnificent. What is to be done with all these eager new recruits? So we organize an auxiliary force, or send volunteers back to Carthago Nova for training. Let's try it, yeah. Okay. No good candidates. Baelbad seems like a good spy master, although he doesn't like me very much. Hannah is governor of Panormus. Pathfinder. Okay. I want to build as much as I can. Okay, let's sort out where I want to put the Temple of Balham. There, yeah, somewhere here. So that's spoken for. Less clear... Yeah, I think in this case I'm just going to keep building quarries. Library or a courthouse. I definitely have preference for a library. Feel here we can upgrade it to an archer. So part of this is just trying to be a reasonably good steward of my orders. I want to keep the option open for a few of these, but in this case, you know, using one order to heal is not bad, and it's something that I want to do long run. On the other hand, spending orders to try and get these, you know, people closer to the capital, like, it's good to do. It's something I want to do over time, but it's not something I want to make an overriding concern. Duke Malchus decries our recent sacking of a barbarian settlement as dangerous and unnecessary. He accuses the court of willfully sowing the seeds of unending war by acting in a way that only serves to raise future threats against us. How shall we respond to these concerns? So we must erase these barbaric cultures to become intolerant. Or perhaps there are more peaceful out... Yeah, actually, that works. Don't get me wrong, we're still going to get rid of the barbarians, just we'll be nice about getting rid of the barbarians. Let's grab a... And sorry, Ulgrins, I didn't see your message earlier. I was surprised that was the first result. I guess I could leave it at that. So I suppose for the stonecutters, it depends whether or not I expand my borders. The miner expands the borders, but the thing is I'm actually doing well for the products of my mines. I think I'm actually going to go for the officer. Okay, so we can't do anything with stone at the moment. So doctor will give us growth, an acolyte will give us culture and orders, a poet culture. I think I'll go for the acolyte. What do we do with this place? Got more woodcutters than I know what to do with. Although the shopkeeper should be good for cash, so maybe we'll start with that. I think doctor for a growing colony. Malacca. Stonecutter is not a bad choice. Especially one that expands my borders. And we have a spare citizen, so apprentice officer for start. Okay, so now I can start sort of throwing around some of my military units. Actually, why not explore? That's a really inconvenient placement for that unit. The tutor mission of Zramon the Younger has led to an event. News arrives from abroad that Dorius the Spartan is dead. King Gaisarix now leads the Spartans. I'm pretty sure the Spartans and the Berbers are both dead. Reports of a tribal raid from a Numidian bastion near Malacca, and the Ishtar Gate has been completed by Carthage. I completely forgot I was even building that. Bystander. One day during lessons with his tutor, Adonabal hears a clamor beyond the palace walls. A group of urchins chase a terrified cat along the street, laughing and striking it with sticks. Zramon notices her pupil's interest and challenges him to intervene. What does the royal tutor advise? Attack the boys and drive them away. So this Adonabal is a... nothing. I can't remember what lessons they were going for. So we can make them courageous, distract the boys with a humorous story, wait until it's safe and nurse the cat back to health, or do nothing, urchins will always chase cats. I think I'll gain discipline. So the game is recommending Doctrine here. I like it because it's the shortest period. I think I'll go for that. Benevolent Trader. A wealthy trader from Carthage arrives from a recent expedition, flush with gifts for the court. How do we respond? Legendary 1 culture event for Carthage. We need a merchant on the court or show our appreciation. Definitely more courtiers. Amarlik joins the court, a new court merchant. Amarlik has joined the court. His keen attention to economic affairs will help Carthage prosper. They said they've changed... Oh, no, hang on. Yes, that makes sense. Public feast. The wealthier citizens of the Balearic Islands wish to hold a public feast in honor of their city's ongoing prosperity. They have asked Governor Queen Consort Thulath of Takape to take the seat of honor. What should she do? Show good manners and eat her fill. Give the uneaten food to the poor for charisma, or stockpile uneaten food for future hardship. They're a scholar. They don't have good discipline, though, so let's show good manners and eat her fill. The Ishtar Gate. Now that the Ishtar Gate has been built, artists from all over the nation have come to ask permission to paint it. Who should receive the great honor? So I shall paint it myself. Oh, man. Hire the most famous among them. I guess I've been on the... So as I've been on the field, otherwise I would absolutely do this. So we'll hire the most famous among them. Tactics studies. Now that Prince Adonabal has completed his study of tactics, how shall he contribute to the court? A hero ruler sounds awesome, even though I already have one. The calling. Always a searcher, your son, Prince Adonabal, expresses interest in the beliefs of Carthaginian paganism. He has hosted philosophers and holy men at the palace seeking instruction in his faith. Privately, Prince Adonabal asks if you believe he has been called. The church only wishes to control you. Yes, you have been chosen by the gods, or it is wise to explore your spirituality. Yes. Historian, here we have the stick figures on the gate. The lack of detail is stunning, and you can nearly tell this stick figure is carrying a sword. Okay, I do like inspiring for my governors. Let's figure out what we're doing. Do I really want to give up 80 for a courthouse? I guess Mount Etna does actually make it sensible to build a quarry here. I didn't think that that was going to be the case, but I'll take it. Anything that doesn't cost stone? Nope. So weirdly enough, this hamlet's actually starting to make more and more sense. Oh, we've got 2 workers here. Okay, I guess we build a courthouse as well. Oh, the garrison would be good, but I'll start with a quarry. I don't think a mine is the right option here. I think a quarry, if anything. Although market would be good too, because that's an urban improvement. And we are building a citadel, so... Nah, I'll put down the quarry. More harbors. Okay, this is not going to be the most... actually, hang on. There's a couple things I can do here. So, one, poke you. Archer goes to the city site. There we go. And that was a crit. Okay, so obviously we want to wipe out the invading force. So there's a specific reason why I'm doing it this way. I want to draw them out from the scrub. So I want to, sorry, if I do that, that doesn't accomplish what I was looking for. So in this case here, I actually want to attack them from the hill. So it's less damage, but they don't have, nope, that's still not the spot I want to be. This is the spot. Because anywhere they want to attack me doesn't have scrub. This spot had scrub over here, so... Also, I completely forgot to check. Okay, Prince of Donabal. So yes, apparently... It'd be helpful if it would say how old. Actually, I think that's his tutor. So... let's do a family marriage. Let's try and improve things with the Magonids. Maybe not so obvious we need the... Okay, that works. So I'm making sure that I have at least one unit... Oh, no, don't disband. I'm making sure I have at least one unit in the city just so I can get the happiness bonus. Quite happy to have them stay there. I'll probably explore with the boat, but let's see. It's not the bravest choice I could have made, but it does expand my territory. Okay, so I will explore with the ship. This is what I get for not conquering that myself. The Greeks are really, really strong. So if they count as similar, we should assume that they can beat the crap out of us in a fight. Yeah, so for whatever reason, Malchus, I'm not able to marry him off. Okay, as for the rest of this, though, I think we can start thinking about... Okay, so given that Greece may be a future challenge, I think it actually makes sense that we keep a few units on the frontier here. So... Now this is a quarry. So like right now this mace unit isn't doing a whole lot. I will move them in. So I think this is just going to follow the rule of at minimum one ranged, one melee. Okay, so that's working as intended. Chancellor Isbal, our Chancellor, has died in office, and Duke Malchus has converted to Carthaginian paganism. You've completed the goal: wines, incense, and 4 sources of olives. And a new marriage proposal from the Magonids has arrived for your son, Prince Adonabal. So we will Ashnat the Intelligent. He's younger, so makes more sense. As desired by the Magonid family, we have built many new groves in order to bolster our production of luxuries. Greece, your economy rivals that of major powers, -20. Oh, that's new. Excellent, we are on our way to becoming a stable nation. The court mourns. Today we grieve the death of Isbal the Minister, a member of the Carthaginian court. Her spirit will be venerated and her deeds will be remembered. She served us well. Autonomy, in Malacca. The city of Malacca would like to establish autonomy and rule itself independently from Carthage. A prominent figure named Zenobia would like to reign over the city as its governor. So let them rule over themselves as long as they pay their taxes. So cannot hurry production. Never find a noble Carthaginian husband for Zenobia. Okay, I would have thought that it would have ended the game at this point, but I'll not complain about a chance to play some more... Hang on. I want the Temple of Valhamon. So 2 groves here makes a hell of a lot more sense. Wait, so I can't build a temple here, though. I wonder why that is. Perhaps... because paganism is not spread to these cities yet. Okay. Again, where I can, I like to expand my urban centers. The water mill... doesn't quite do it for me, if I'm honest. I'm sure I'll use it eventually, but... Okay. Get you to heal up. So we don't really need to be chasing down the barbarians here anymore. I guess at this point we decide where we want to distribute the rest of our armies. So, I think at this point, let's put the spare unit... So again, we'll kind of go... we'll color coordinate, basically. I do actually want this unit back in Carthage because it is rather poorly defended right now. I guess we just get to keep burning that down. Does that actually do anything for us? But yeah, here I think it makes a lot of sense to keep some units. Some units in range of any potential hotspots with the Greeks. I think a big treasury works. I suppose that limits me in my future options in terms of what I can build, though. So I'm actually going to build a settler here. It's about time that we take these city sites. Although, again, I would expect that we will not have to play this thing to the bitter end. That's not the right family. Oh, God. Yeah, we'll send them up here. So basically, I don't hate having these units over here given a theoretical fight with the Numidians. Epic victory! Crowds gather near the great harbor of Carthage to hear you speak. The Carthaginian Empire has met every goal it sought to pursue over the past century, from economic recovery to establishing itself as an independent state, taking control of other Phoenician colonies and securing important natural resources. We now dominate the western Mediterranean region. No obstacle has proven able to slow our advance. We have dodged confrontation with other great powers in the world, but this cannot last forever. Be it the Greeks or the Persians, surely someday, as we rise, we shall have to overcome a great foe in order to take our rightful place on the world stage. We must prepare to face this challenge. So let's take a second. I do like watching the review. This is something I always like in these games. Again, this is a very different approach that I've taken in... we'll also toggle the fog because I kind of like to see what happened with the Greeks. So when we previously played this, I believe I had this area here. In this case, we kind of let Greece get out of control, and I suspect if we did have to go to war with them, we would have struggled. The way to go about it, I suspect, would have been to have sort of a token force to just kick them out here. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe what I would have to do is I'd have a large force here to sort of hold the line, but the majority of the effort that I would do... well, no, hang on. There's two ways to think about that. I do feel that I would need to take these, because 3 cities worth of unit production is a lot to deal with. But if we were able to just sort of contain them in a single region... maybe we would have been able to get through it. I don't think Iberia would have been a problem. I think we probably would have been able to hold our own there. But yeah, this is definitely quite different from the previous time, just because there's a whole lot more Carthage on the map. All of these fine gray beards, it's the way it should be. Take a quick look at the graphs. So yeah, Greece pretty much always beat us militarily. I'm a little surprised to see this. Yeah, that's not a surprise. Although I am a little surprised to see stone so expensive here, because I did spend a bunch of time selling it. Stupid Greeks and their better culture. Okay, so we definitely started overtaking them science-wise. Now, this is actually something I should be very worried about if this was how Greece was able to finance, because like financially they would have buried us. Well, actually, no, hang on, because we get to order the barbarian unit, so we probably would have been okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely things I would have liked to have done differently, but we won, so I am going to save. I know the game kind of auto saves for what I'm going to do, but momentum of this victory will carry us on to new adventures. So I am at the 3-hour mark. I was kind of hoping that we would have started scenario 3 today, but I'm happy that we got another epic victory. So this is where we left off. I've never actually completed the Rise of Rome, and it is a very challenging scenario. So Carthage has withstood unending waves of chaos and bloodshed in the Mediterranean. Now Rome rises as a new threat. Can you guide Carthage to rule the seas, defend its cities on land, and achieve a victory against the rise of Rome? You may import a save file from completing the previous scenario, Riches and Influence. If you import a save, some of your choices from the previous scenario will be preserved. Family assignment and some city improvements will be carried forward, and you may encounter events related to your actions in the previous scenario. In this scenario, you're fighting a war against a powerful opponent. Historically, Carthage lost the war, and accordingly, this scenario is more challenging than the first two. Some goals may be very tough to accomplish. Rules for Game 3, The Rise of Rome. Technologies are more expensive. You cannot settle new cities. You have access to Sacred Band and Balearic Slingers, history-inspired units unique to the campaign. You will remain at war with Rome until the bitter end, and you will need to maintain naval dominance to anchor ships. Your naval dominance is displayed below the goal counters. To maintain naval dominance, build more ships or strengthen your existing ones. Complete 6 goals to achieve a bronze victory, 8 to achieve silver, and if you complete 10 goals, you get a gold, and complete all of them to get an epic victory. Honestly, I'm just looking to get a bronze victory. But we'll do our best. I will actually say, so the first one, oh, interesting. So why did it keep my results from Heroes of the Aegean but not Rise of Carthage? That's interesting. Okay, anyways, we were caught up, so I do want to finish Rise of Carthage, and then after that, Rise of Macedon is actually another one that I've struggled with, so hopefully when we complete Rise of Carthage, we'll be able to make some progress on Heroes of the Aegean. Or alternatively, because I really do like the Sacred and the Profane content, maybe I'll take some time and do a standalone game. Either way, though, I really do enjoy Old World. I do apologize. I think I was spending so much time talking about Robert Lucas. I did forget to mention that I was given a copy of this game from Mohawk Games, or well, Hooded Horse, but Mohawk for the Epic version. So got it twice over. So in any case, if you are deciding to make a purchase for the game, hopefully you didn't do that over the previous period where I didn't mention that. I'll maybe write it down in comments or something like that. I apologize. I just didn't. I talked about one thing and then I think I went to do my laundry, so I just didn't think to mention it. But in any case, I am a very big fan of this. But as always, if you're given a thing of value in order to cover it, I was given the key in order to cover the game. I'm very grateful for it. I think I really like Mohawk's games. I like Off-World Trading Company. I think Old World is a really special game. I think the thing, like, there is a reason why I keep bringing up the Neoplatonism stuff again. It's not because I particularly... It's not because I'm like some deep believer of it. In fact, the one thing I would say out of all of the given topics, is the one I know the least in terms of the like the classic philosophical systems. So I've read, and like I had to write a few essays on Plotinus's On Beauty. I think that's in the first set of Enneads, and it's like the 6th one, but I also believe it's the earliest one that he wrote. Again, it's really interesting stuff, but one of the things that I noticed was the more I started trying to read it, the more I really felt that it was important for me to sort of read everything that had kind of come before. Obviously not everything. I'm not going to read like all of Plato and all of Aristotle, but like I would like to have a good refresher on this. And I mean, the thing is too, when you're reading a game about the ancient, or when you're playing a game about the ancient world, it's kind of nice just to be able to, you know, pick up the old stuff again. So this is why I started with the Pre-Socratics. I will just mention here, so for those of you who want to follow along, I make no promises of doing it quickly or discussing it on every stream, but here are a few of the books that I've picked up and plan on reading. So my summary book that I'm following along is The Greek Philosophers, From Thales to Aristotle by W.K.C. Guthrie. Again, I just recently found that I believe this is currently published by Routledge, so it should be something that you can pick up. Routledge is a Taylor and Francis company. For source material, I'm usually referencing the Pre-Socratics Reader, Selected Fragments and Testimonia. Fragments would be the bits that are actually from the texts. So in this case, you've got something like Sextus Empiricus, one of the skeptics, referring to the works of the Pre-Socratics and quoting them. And then the Testimonia would be kind of stories about the people, or statements about what they believed. So lots of stuff that has from Diels Krantz, but not exclusively. There are actually a few that would not be included inside of this collection. And it does seem to be that a very large amount of this is coming from a larger text, which is Richard D. McKirahan, Philosophy Before Socrates, an introduction with texts and commentary. Now, as a companion to that, I have had for a very long time and still refer to every once in a while, the Cambridge Companion series is very good. And so I have the Cambridge Companion to Early Greek Philosophy. So that's going to be sort of my collection for the Pre-Socratics. I do have John Cooper's, he edited a collection of so it's not just Plato's dialogues, but it's also the things that in the classical tradition came under the name of Plato. Some of them were considered spurious. Other ones were considered that only after sort of the passage of the time and later scholarship. I do have a Cambridge Companion to Plato. There's actually a lot of Cambridge Companions for Plato's stuff, though. So there's, for instance, a specific Cambridge Companion to the Republic. But in this case, I've got Cambridge Companion to Plato. I've got collected works of Plato, including the epistles. And I don't plan on reading all of that, but I would like to read a few more works. Now, I'm actually very light on Aristotle. I usually just read Aristotle for poetics, but I am appreciating more and more about the importance of Aristotelian ideas for the Neoplatonists. So that's one that I want to pick up. And you can see the relative lack of attention for Aristotle for myself just simply because I actually don't have the Cambridge Companion to that one. moving on, I have I think it's called the Hellenistic Philosophy Reader. Anyways, it's kind of like a companion for this pre-Socratics reader. It's, I believe, by Inwood and Gerson. Similar to my other Hackett texts. And again, it's a bunch of fragments related to the Stoics, Stoics, Epicureans, and Skeptics, both academic and Pyrrhonian. I think I only have a Cambridge Companion to the Stoics. But all of that is preparation for the thing I really want to read, which is the Neoplatonists. And so for that one, I think it was called the Neoplatonist Reader. I've got too many books around me now, so I can't remember. Hang on. Yeah, that particular one I don't have immediately in reach, which makes sense because it's a later one. So that one has Plotinus, Porphyry, Iamblichus. Oh, damn it! There was another one, Proclus. But on top of that, I've ordered a couple of books as well. So I've got the New Cambridge Companion to Plotinus. I have an edition of the Ennead, so not just the fragments, or not just fragments, not just the selections from the Neoplatonist Reader, but the full Enneads. Unfortunately, I wanted the Lloyd Gerson one, and unfortunately, they sent along a revision to the Stephen McKenna one. However, Stephen McKenna's is definitely highly regarded for its style, and there is that neat little side where, I suspect it'll probably be fun material for the the connections through Cultus Simulator. But yeah, the intention is to read the reader alongside I think it actually is hang on. There's a companion piece that I got for this. So there's some nice introductory material in the Neoplatonist Reader, but the one I was really looking for was... Oh, don't do this to me, phone. There's one on Hellenistic philosophy that I ordered, but the bookstore canceled it. So the one I wanted was Hellenistic Philosophy, Stoics, Epicureans, and Skeptics by A.A. Long. Unfortunately, that was canceled. But Neoplatonism by R.T. Wallace is going to be sort of my equivalent to the Guthrie text. So obviously I don't plan on reading this like over a weekend. This is the big block of reading that I'm doing to try and, LARP Old World. But if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, the other pair of sources that I've been using, so I use Wikipedia a lot when playing the game, but if you're looking for a slightly more scholarly reference, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy is actually quite good. I will confess, one thing I was thinking of doing, the Loeb Classical Library series has... So, like, Dielskrantz has kind of been the main reference for a lot of pre-Socratic writing, but there's actually a new collection that's been established called Lax and Most. Well, that's not called that, but that's usually how it's referred to. And... but the thing is it's like 8 different books, and they're like small hardcovers, so, double digits to buy one of them. We'll multiply that by 8. All of a sudden, I'm spending quite a bit of money on fragments of thinkers that, whose thoughts can be summarized by Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy articles. So I'm not quite ready to do that. I'm happy with my pre-Socratics reader, but depending on how interesting I find this stuff, I might be tempted. But the other big reason why I might want to do that is I do now have... So my daily lessons are always French lessons. But I do have a set of Latin textbooks and a set of Greek textbooks. And I think probably I'll start with Latin, but I am trying very, very slowly to be able to read some of the material in its original form. So the big desire would be Ovid for Latin, although I suspect probably I would wind up starting with something like, the Gallic War, which I think is traditionally considered a good starter text. But oddly enough, with Greek, as much as I would love to read some of the, pre-Socratics and stuff, I actually really want to read Lucian. That's the big motivator there. But yeah, the effort here is going to be French, because that's, a living language. Latin, because I think there's enough commonalities with English. It's the one I've made the most progress with. See if I can do that, and then sort of the brass ring is Greek. But obviously I'll be focusing in on the ideas first, which is why I'm reading these translations rather than focusing on my language. There is actually, I think it's actually a Harvard series, but I did notice that there's a professor that's put out a series of YouTube videos on ancient Greek, so my intention is still to focus on the Latin, but if I find that I can sort of get a better grip on Greek for whatever reason, I might switch it up. In any case, that's probably less interesting than, so just as a recap, W.K.C. Guthrie, the Greek philosophers, if you want the written introduction I'm looking for, and then for the pre-Socratics that I'm reading, there is both Oxford University Press and Penguin, I think, have a pretty good summary of pre-Socratics, but the one I'm referring to is by Hackett, Patricia Curd, Patricia Curd edited with introduction, translations by Richard McKirahan and Patricia Curd, pre-Socratics Reader, 2nd edition. And I'll be sticking with that for a little bit before moving on to Plato and Aristotle, which probably do not require that much searching for. And then we'll get back, we'll regroup with more Old World, and we'll figure out where the readings are. But on that note, I noticed that Outworld is streaming. He's currently doing Mortal Kombat 3, and I suspect he's probably restored his arcade cabinet. So unfortunately, there's no other Old World streams going on, so I'm going to leave you in Outworld's capable hands. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As we are closing out the evening, I'll just give you the overall plan. On Wednesday, we should be back to a Brace Yourself game. So probably Godless, but I know it's been a little while since we've done Phantom Brigade, so I might try that as well. I'm honestly not that sure what's going on with Dirty Rectangles, so if it turns out that there's a meetup that I'm not aware of, obviously I'll cancel Wednesday, but right now the plan is to do either Godless or Phantom Brigade. And then I did quite like Age of Wonders Steam sale. Oh, sorry, totally random aside. Annapurna is having a sale that is ending soonish, ends May 18th, totally unrelated to most things, but a good publisher. Yeah, I mean, I've played Outer Wilds, and what was another one of the... I can't remember. I'm running out on the timer, though, but thank you for letting me know, Algrids. I know Paradox has also got one going on, but you'll forgive me if I don't partake on that one. Doesn't mean the rest of you, can't find something nice out of it, though. Sorry, I did want to get something out of the way. Friday, I did quite like Age of Wonders 4, so we'll probably wind up doing that. But as always, I'll say that stuff on Twitter. Anyways, enjoy Outworld. We will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.